What is up, awesome peeps? Brent McCluskey here with Electrified Reviews, and today we are reviewing the AddMotoR MOTAN M-360 fat tire trike. This thing is just the most comfortable ride you can possibly imagine. It's basically like a recumbent bike. It is a ton of fun. We're gonna dive into the specs, but first, let's roll the B-roll. All right, awesome peeps. Again, this is the AddMotoR MOTAN M-360 fat tire trike, and it is a really, really cool ride. It is without a doubt the coolest trike that we have tested so far. We've done a few other trikes from AddMotoR, but this one is just so cool. It's recumbent style. You know, it's much more of a relaxed position. You've got the, you know, the saddle with like the backrest, almost like a bike, you know, like a motorcycle or something. It's just a really, really cool ride. These guys, AddMotoR, they offer a 1-year warranty on this ride, which is great because it does have a starting price of $2,999 USD, $2,999, basically $3 grand. It is a pricey machine, but most trikes are just expensive, man. The extra material for the frame, the extra tire, the extra, I guess, construction to make it happen. I don't really know, but you know, trikes just seem to run quite a bit more money than a standard two-wheel electric bike, and I guess that's just the name of the game. But for this price point of around $3 grand, that's kind of what it costs for a decent trike. I feel like you get a lot with this one. It's just as far as comfort, style, and functionality goes. We'll dive more into that later, but as far as the frame size and colors go, there's only one frame size. It's this one right here, and it does come in 2 colors right now. It's just kind of like a neon orange and like a lime green, which is a pretty cool color as well. The orange is pretty attractive, looks really good in the sunlight. During my ride over here, I mean, this thing was definitely turning heads. People were complimenting it, asking, you know, what it was, and just, you know, hey, cool trike or cool bike, whatever. People really dig this thing. So yeah, 1-year warranty, that's good because this isn't, you know, it's a direct order bike. So you may not be able to ride this thing before you test it out. So having that 1-year warranty is definitely a good thing. So let's dive into the specs on this bike, and we'll start with the motor, which is actually going to be in the front wheel of this trike. This is going to be a Bafang 750 watt hub motor right here, 80 newton meters of torque, for top speed of 20 miles per hour. You can bump up the top speed electronically to go up to 24 miles per hour, but this motor winds out at about 20 miles per hour. So really, physically, you just can't go faster than 20 miles per hour. Now, the standard 750 watt Bafang motor, you can go about 32, 35, maybe even faster. So this thing, because it tops out 20 miles per hour and because of the way it feels, it tells me that AddMotoR has custom wound their motors to give extra torque. So lower top speed and extra torque, which is exactly what you want for a machine like this, because this is not meant for high speed. This is a trike. Trikes are basically the opposite of the two-wheel machines, right? The slower you go on a trike, the more stable you are. The faster you go, the more instability starts to creep in. You can tip, stuff like that. Whereas a two-wheel machine, a two-wheel electric bike, you know, the slower you go, the less stable you are, the more speed you have, it starts to become a lot more stable, right? So it's just the opposite. So you want it to be geared towards lower speed. Also, this thing does weigh 125 pounds. So you do want that extra torque to help just move this thing, right? Now, 125 pounds for the frame here, but it does have a load capacity of 350 pounds for the rider and an extra 100 pounds to throw in the cargo rack right here in the back. So a total of 450 pounds, which is a lot of weight to be moving with this thing. And so you really want that, not just a powerful motor, but a torquey motor to help you get going from a dead stop. Now, Because the motor is in the front wheel here, it does mean that you will get a little bit more wheel slip, especially on less than ideal surfaces. So if you've got dry asphalt, you're gonna be fine. You start going in the grass, you start getting wet ground, sand, stuff like that, you're gonna see wheel slip, and that's just what happens when you put the motor in the front wheel. That's kind of standard for trikes though, so that's not a problem at all. Now, 20 miles per hour, you can reach that top speed with the cadence sensing pedal assist or with the half grip twist throttle right here, which is really cool. I love the half grips as opposed to the thumb throttle. It just makes it feel more like a bike, you know, like a motorcycle. Cadence sensor on this bike, 12 magnet cadence sensor. You can see it right in there, the kind of metallic pieces right by the chainring there. Now, like all cadence sensors, there's gonna be kind of a start and stop delay from the time that I start pedaling to the time the motor actually activates, and the time that I stop pedaling and the time the motor actually shuts off, right? That is indicative of pretty much all cadence sensors, and that's okay, but it does leave this trike feeling a little bit, I think the word would be jumpy. And the reason is because, you know, when the motor kicks on, it kicks on at full power, and that 750 watts with that extra torque in there, it is a really powerful motor, and it can feel a little jumpy. So just kind of something to keep in mind. The one kind of critique or thing I guess I would like to see different about this bike, because really it's just about perfect in my eyes, but the one thing I would like to see is maybe an upgrade to a torque sensor. That would just make a world of difference, man, because torque sensors, you know, you get a corresponding output of power based on how much torque you're placing on the cranks, as opposed to a cadence sensor which detects the rotation and just kicks on to full power, you know? Not a huge deal, just something to point out, trying to be nitpicky with this thing, right? The battery on this is gonna be a 48 volt, 14.6 amp hour battery. It is locking, it is removable. You can take it off this thing to charge, which is great, because the reality is you don't want to bring this thing into your house to charge it. It's just too heavy, it's too big. Now with this battery, you're gonna get a max estimated range of about 40 miles or so. But, you know, look, like all estimates, it's just an estimate. You know, the reality is you're probably gonna get significantly less range in real world conditions. You use the throttle a lot, you go to higher pedal assist mode like I do, you're gonna cut that drastically. But just like, you know, MPG, miles per gallon for a car, if you drive it conservatively, if you're not hammering the throttle the entire time, if you're not going top speed, yeah, you're gonna get a lot of range out of this, which is cool, because if you do wanna use it as more of a commuter, you can do it, a really steady, kind of slower commuter. It's definitely, you could use it for that. One thing I love about this is just I guess the overall style or the ride position of this. It's basically a recumbent bike. You'll see there's a saddle right here and a backrest right there. And the seating position is just awesome. I'm actually gonna shut this down real quick just to show you guys what it looks like to sit in this thing, because it's really cool. So the position, you know, a typical bike is gonna be kind of more like this, right? Pretty much more upright. This, you're much more relaxed, you're kind of laid back, your back can rest. When you are pedaling, you are still getting a good stroke. You can adjust the saddle, you can move it forward or back to increase or decrease your your pedal stroke, so you can still optimize that, which is nice. You're not losing any efficiency there. But just overall, to ride this thing is a very comfortable ride, and I think that's one of the things that appeals most to me about this bike is how approachable it is, how easy it is to ride, especially at slower speeds. So that is a very, very cool thing. Now you'll notice, maybe you can't see on the camera from this angle, but you'll probably notice I put a little piece of mud right there on the front tire, because this is a slight decline that this bike is resting on. And there's no like kickstand, obviously, because it's self-balancing, but there's also no way to lock the brakes. You know, you can't depress the brake levers and lock them down to keep tension on the wheels, you know, to keep the bike from moving on a decline. So you do want to keep this thing rested on a flat ground, otherwise you might get into some problems. Something to keep in mind. Now, speaking of brakes, this does have Tektro mechanical disc brakes, 180 millimeter rotor in the front, and we do have 160 millimeter rotors. Actually, I think they're 100. They say 160 on the website, but I'm pretty sure those are 180 millimeter rotors there. But you have them in both wheels, okay? Left side and right side. And that is very, very important, because if you only have a rear brake on one side, what happens is when you use that rear brake, the trike will pull to that side when you stop, and it's just annoying and not cool. So I really like that AddMotor they included brakes on both sides, because I think some of their other trikes, they actually don't have that. So yeah, kind of cool. Tires themselves are gonna be 20-inch by 4-inch big old fat tires here by Kenda. They're great tires, you know, fat tires, they've just got tons of extra air volume. They kind of have their own suspension quality to them because they are so filled with air. Also, the wide tire patch makes it really easy to float over sand, snow, stuff like that. Really, I think it's best for sand. I mean, to me, I think this is like a beach, almost like a beach cruiser. You know, that's like what I said in the beginning here. Throw some stuff in the back, head to the beach if you want, and you can actually ride this thing on the beach because of the tires. If you have issues, you can air them down all the way to 5 PSI, which is really, really low. That is why I like fat tires right there. These particular tires, they do not have any puncture protection in them, so I would recommend throwing some slime in there, just in case you do get a little puncture. You don't want to be having a flat on your ride. That sucks. So yeah, throw some slime in this thing in all the tires, and that should help kind of seal up any small punctures. Cargo rack, very sweet. Assembly of this thing was not too bad. I did have to put the cargo rack on. I had to install the front handlebars here. Seat was already installed, and I had to install the front tire and just plug in the motor cable right there. Really not very difficult, did not take too long, not too bad, so I'm kind of happy with that. Now, in the front of the bike, you'll see, I'm gonna turn it on real quick. I want you to see this light. This is I think this is the best headlight we have seen, period, on electric bike. I mean, like, not an aftermarket one, but just as far as like stock from the factory, it's just, you can't tell in the daylight, man. But this thing is just wicked bright. And how you can tell it gets bright, it is bright even in the daytime, is it gets hot to the touch after a few minutes. And that's basically the telltale sign of, yep, you got some good lumens coming out of this thing. And that's great, because if you want to, you can use that headlight not just to increase visibility, right? Not just to make it so that it's easier for people to see you coming for safety, but it means that you can illuminate your trail pretty far in the distance, and you can ride this thing at night. So again, let's say you're going to the beach, you got your cooler, you got your food, whatever, and you're like, I'm gonna stay here all night. On the ride home, no problem, man, you got the bright headlight. So very cool. I'm actually gonna turn this off because it is so bright. I do imagine it probably takes a fair amount of juice to run that thing. Some other cool stuff here in the front is, check out this horn. Pretty loud. It's like a little electronic air horn. Is that a thing? I don't know. Here's the horn right here. Pretty loud, nice tone, good way to alert people that you are coming, just so you don't, I guess, run into people, scare them, I don't know, but it's good. Wire management is the other thing I guess I would kind of critique on this bike. It is okay. I like how most of the wires do come down. They've got them kind of taped up right here, but you'll see that pretty much all the wiring is externally routed. It would be nice to see if they could find a way to feed it through the frame, maybe the top tube there and then down one of the side tubes. I don't know. You know, exposed wires, they just don't look as good. Some people, maybe they like it. Some people don't. Probably a preference thing, but generally I like to see internally routed wires. That's just my personal preference right there. Now, going to the display itself, we're here a second ago. To turn on the display, it's just a long press of the power button, which is gonna be right here. Long press of that. You'll see on the display itself, there we go. You'll see on the display itself, you've got a 5-bar battery indicator right here on the top. You've got an odometer, speedometer, what mode you are in, pedal assist level, and how much wattage you're using from the motor. If you tap the power button, that'll switch to, what does it switch to? It switches the tripometer up here, tap it again, and it goes back to odometer. It doesn't change a whole lot of information. If you do want to access the back end of the display here, you just have to hold the up and down arrows right here. So we'll hold those and watch what happens. Boom, you go into the settings here. This actually said 24 inches for the wheels, which is incorrect. The wheels are 20 inches, but because they're fat tires, they're more like 22 inches, so I adjusted that to 22. Tap the power button, it switches to max speed, which I set to 40 kilometers per hour, but again, the motor winds out at 20 miles per hour, so that doesn't really matter. And then I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is. If you hold the power button down, boom, it goes back to the main display there, so that's cool. To hit the lights, if you want, it's this button right here. Just hit that, lights on, lights off. It does have blinkers as well. Come on, focus. Blinkers, this button right here. That's kind of cool. And then the horn, like I was saying, right there. This button on the right-hand side is kind of like a turbo. If you click it, it is just a quicker way to access more speed. If you want to limit the speed, you can unclick it and it's gonna kind of just instantly lower the top speed. That's kind of cool. Half grip twist throttle. 7-speed derailleur. We'll go over to the other side here. We've got a Shimano tourney derailleur. Pretty kind of entry-level component, which is okay. Yeah, that's not really a problem. There is the derailleur right there, Shimano tourney. Boom, 7-speed. And yeah, that's what that looks like. So that is about it, awesome peeps, for the Motan M360 fat tire trike right here. Last thing I want to say is I just want to reiterate that really this thing is just, it's the most like, I don't know, it's like the most relaxing bike that we have tested probably ever to ride. Like when you get on this thing and you sit down in that recumbent position and you're just pedaling around at slower speeds, it just is really cool, man. It's just so comfortable and really, really fun. So look, okay, we've talked about this enough. It's time to take this thing on the road, get some test footage, take it for a test ride. So without any further ado, here we go. All right, awesome peeps, that is pretty much it for the review of the AddMotoR MOTAN M360 trike right here. In summary, again, this thing starts for $2,999 or $29.99 USD. It is a lot of money. There's just no way around it. This is an expensive bike, or I guess trike, but with all the extra material that we talked about, like just the extra stuff that it takes to make the frame, the extra tire, whatever, I mean, it kind of makes sense to bump the price like a fair amount. And honestly, this is just a really fun bike to ride. Some of the really cool things about it, like we talked about in the review, is just the stability and how approachable this bike is. It is just so easy to ride, especially at lower speeds. But of course, just like all trikes, as soon as you ratchet up the speed, it does start to become unstable. But around 12 miles or so per hour and down. This thing is just like rock solid steady. And really this bike right here, or trike, is going to really appeal, I think, to people who want something where they can carry like a cooler or something in the back of this thing, go to the beach, go to the park, whatever, and just chill, eat lunch, have a picnic, whatever, or run around town and do errands. I mean, this is kind of like a chill three-wheeler beach cruiser with cargo capacity. That's kind of like how I view it. Can you commute with this thing? Absolutely. It does have a fairly large battery. It's got a powerful enough motor. You can do just about anything you want with it. Can you go off-road? Sure, you can go on light trails. Should you go on like seriously off-road stuff? Nah, that's not what this thing is geared for, you know? This is a chill, recumbent beach cruiser, man. That's what this thing is all about. So awesome, peeps. I hope you had I hope you enjoyed watching this review. Hope you dug it. Hope you are having a fantastic day. Hope you guys are staying safe out there amid the coronavirus. If you got masks, you're in public, make sure to wear them if you can. If you got gloves, great. Wash your hands. Just be safe, guys. I don't want anybody getting sick. You know, that would be not cool. So yeah, thank you guys again so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Have a great day, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.